Welcome back, everyone, to Tech Talk, the officially unofficial Transformers TCG podcast. I'm joined, as always, by Scott of VectorSigma.info. And before we dive into, the intense amount of reveals in this second part of this week's recording, I do want to hand it off to me to talk about a few events that are coming up. Welcome back, everyone. You've already heard the usual greeting for the beginning of Tech Talk, but this is a pre-recorded segment just to talk a little bit about a few events that are coming up in the very near future. We wanted to give a shout out to Gaming vs. Cancer. Gaming vs. Cancer is a convention held at the University of Southampton Highfield campus, and it's going to be on the weekend of March 21st and 22nd. This convention started in 2013 as Clicks for Cancer and has since then raised £28,000 or $36,000 for Cancer Research UK. If you have the opportunity, definitely check out this event. We're going to do our best to have all of the appropriate links in the description of this video and podcast. One other event we wanted to give a shout out to is the 7th annual Hunter Burton Memorial Open. This particular event is focused on raising suicide awareness. Whereas in the past it was primarily based in Magic the Gathering, now it's going to be expanding to include other games, the Transformers TCG among them. The Transformers portion is scheduled to take place on Saturday, March 28th, and this is another worthwhile cause that if you have the opportunity to, you should consider supporting. One additional event that we wanted to call out is, our own, and that is the Transformers TCG Grand Tournament. Now, we don't have a charity attached to this particular one this time around, although we have run them in the past. Instead, we wanted to call this out because, Top Deck has made a lot of efforts to support the community in the past. The prizes are fantastic, but additionally, we're tacking on a little bit extra. As we discussed on previous shows, there's going to be Origins passes added on for the culmination event. And then there are chances to win raffles leading up to that event for the same thing, that is Origins passes. So if you have the opportunity, come on down. These are going to be monthly events. We're always looking for new people. All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you, me, for going through all that. We're going to dive right into it because, as is kind of the norm, Scott, as soon as I hit the go live button, we got more cards. So this list has grown even since a scant few hours ago.
Yep.
So we're going to start off with Hold the Line, which was a battle card that was revealed sometime last week. It was during Toy Fair, so for anybody looking at this after the fact, that's the reason that we have not great images. So Hold the Line is one of the new secret actions. It is a white and a green pip, and you reveal it when one of your characters defends. When it's revealed, you repair 1 damage from that defender, and it can't take more attack damage this battle than the number of stars the attacker has. So this, I feel, falls into the subtly but certainly impactful cards that we've gotten. It definitely has the potential to put it simply, this is a force field that can't be bashing shielded.
Right, which I think is probably the most important point. I think this card can single-handedly bring 3-wide aggro back into the meta.
Which is, when you had said that offline, or I think it was you, it may have been somebody else, but I'm pretty sure it was you, Scott. It got me excited that this entire archetype, which has up to this point, yes, we've seen 3-wides, like it was Dinobots way back when, then it was Sentinels, then it was, I think it started to die at that point. Like true 3-wide, orange focused. Not to say...
Wave 3 was big.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah, Gen Con was all over the place.
It was all over the place, but it wasn't... I wouldn't say that was the top tier decks.
Depending on whether or not the other decks were kind of out there to deal with it.
But that argument's always there. If there's 4-wide, then 3-wide was getting eaten. Orange stuff, right. We're talking about, right. Of course, for everybody out there. I don't mean to say that it's completely dropped off the face of the earth and nobody would ever consider playing it, but I think competitively it definitely started to fall by the wayside as time went on. And as you said, this has the potential to bring it back, and in a main deckable way, because given that it is green, it's going to force your opponent to invest at least another turn. And for anybody who's confused as to why we're saying this, say they're playing Blaster, you're playing Arbitrary 3-wide. Now their Ramhorn, their Steeljaw, their whatever is only pushing 5 damage as opposed to it pushing double digits. I was about to say
kickback, same with insert random airstrike patrol number here, same with whoever else you want to mention in that category.
Yeah, the list goes on and on. You could clearly come up with a ton more examples, and the fact that it allows you to do that in a fashion that up to this point, I mean, maybe this is going to be like when we got all excited about a bunch of things early on in Siege 2 reveals, and then, oh, by the way, Sabotage Armaments comes around. Maybe we're going to get a secret action card that interacts and deals with them somehow, but right now, this feels like it has the potential to break open some matchups.
Yeah, I mean, the point is like you said, the uncounterable nature of essentially a force field just gives you a lot of play. I mean, the main thing is, I guess the question is, what is the cutoff point for this card? Like, when are you okay? Like what's the largest star cost you really feel like you're going to actually deal with? Now, of course, we're talking on an aggro. I feel like aggro on aggro, this is 100% playable regardless.
Absolutely, okay? Yeah.
So the fact that it's a green and a white means that you can play. I mean, if you're going into an event with a 3-wide aggro, this is certainly a 3-up, like no doubt about it.
Right.
But even in a 4-wide aggro, I'm pretty sure it's at least a 1 to 2 up main deck, because for mirror matches, obviously against most control decks, it's not going to matter all that much because the little support characters aren't dealing much damage, and the big guy is still going to deal 15 or 16 or 14 anyway. And so does it matter? And
I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that your opponent, if you're whatever aggro and you play a secret action, I can't think of too many others that you're going to be playing at this stage that your opponent's not going to go all in on their Flame War to try and just push damage against random character. They're going to see this thing 10,000 miles away.
Yeah, I think the question just becomes, is the aggro deck limiting itself against other aggro decks in order to survive? So in the 3-wide case, the characters themselves should be able to carry the day for you without the need of playing,
because they're larger and have other text.
Right, but the 4-wide aggro mirror, you normally need effects in order to make it effective. Mm-hmm. So the question becomes, like, can you push that damage without the use of extra cards or not?
Yeah, the Airstrike Patrol has the potential. We've all seen or been on the receiving end or delivered the blows of, oh, my random 3 attack guy gets in there. Oh, look, he's base 8 attack before, you consider any weapons or anything attached. So in that mirror scenario, I could see it being fine, but I definitely get what you're saying, that you may need that card play out, as in this thing, it has to be a supercharge or something, or a reckless charge instead, in order to actually do enough damage to matter.
Yeah, but I mean those matchups basically come down to who survives, and who survives a hit. So as long as this does that, I think you're fine. It just comes down to you have to play it at the right time when you don't need a card to overcommit to the board as it is. And there's a lot of situations where that occurs. Yeah,
that bluffing game is definitely going to get. I mean, it may not really be a bluff simply because what other secret action are you playing? But that cat and mouse game, I guess, would be a better way to put it, is definitely going to get very interesting. Of, are you able to get there with your attack without help? Because you need this to buy you that extra turn to break serve. The fact that it even exists is fantastic, because it does open up those decision points, and again, potentially a whole extra, up to this point, missing wing of the meta in 3-wide main deck. So taller orange builds have this opportunity.
Yeah, and it could even bring 2 tall back in, to be honest with you. It'll help them as well.
It's also going to be interesting for the, because we have to say it, the Metroplexes and the Fort Maxes of the world. Not necessarily because of the pips, but they're gigantic characters that they're always looking for extra force fields, or probably are going to be looking for extra force fields. And again, this is one that you don't have to worry about just getting blown up immediately.
Yeah, I think the other side of the coin with the control side, though, I'm not sure it's as important, because because you have to remember this is this is how much final damage you're going to take. So if you imagine, and we're not going to put anything into it, but like random 2 defense character flips 2 blues and is at 4 defense, like, are you really taking? I mean, obviously there are situations where you're taking more than 9, and this will basically force field you from the rest. But I think it's basically just going to be another hidden fortification for that deck.
Yeah,
which it's searchable. Like, don't get me wrong, it's green. I mean, like, I certainly think you should. I think almost every deck should play like this as at least a one of for those turns. Because again, like if 3 white aggro comes back in, then this can help a large guy control deck. Even if they're taking like guaranteed taking 9, it's better than taking 18.
right.
So, I feel like there's always going to be a place for this card regardless. But I think it's definitely better for aggro decks against other aggro decks.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. And it's going to be interesting to see more on the control end, because the aggro v aggro seems to be much more obvious. The aggro into control, or I guess if you're looking at it from the other end of the spectrum, or both, and then control on control will definitely be much more interesting. I agree with you that as a one of, since it's fetchable, you can certainly make a case to justify playing it.
Yeah, as long as your whites aren't getting into like the 9 count or 8 or 9 count, I think it's fine.
Absolutely. So we'll move on from Hold the Line and go into really long card name. Intrusion Countermeasures Software. It actually went into 2 lines. That's how long the name is on the card itself. Stuff like that is cute to me. It's funny. But anyway, so this is another secret action. It's a black pip and a green pip. You reveal it if an opponent's card would cause you to scrap 1 or more cards from your hand during their turn. And when it's revealed, you instead draw 2 cards. I'll be honest, my first thought about this card was combo, using it to try and fight people that are leaning into the combo, specifically Daring Escape, trying to fight discard elements. Beyond that, you got something?
Sideboards, but a very, very niche use. I don't think it's very good.
I mean, I think a lot of people are going to jump to Shockwave, and I don't know if I even want it, because you're effectively discarding a card for this to play it. You're still coming out ahead, but I don't know if you're coming out enough ahead.
I mean, I was thinking about it playing this instead of playing Processor. I mean, you're getting the 2 cards initially instead of having to wait over 2 turns, but because they are such a slow, grindy deck, it's probably going to be, you're going to get more use out of the Processor in the long run anyway. Yeah. So, I think the answer to those types of problems already exist in Processor, and I don't think this card's necessary, because it's still effectively a blank most of the time, so I just don't think it's very good.
Yeah, we'll move on from this one. I don't really have anything else to add.
Is it rare?
It is rare. I'm going to feel real good opening lots of those. All right, so we have another card that came from Toy Fair, hence the kind of screwy picture, and that is Junk Cannon. Junk Cannon is an orange pip weapon. When you put this or another upgrade on the upgraded character, it gets +2 attack until end of turn. Everybody's a hound, I guess, or anybody can be a hound. I don't know. I'm sure there's something here.
Well,
I don't know.
There's a couple things. There are no orange primary lasers, so keep that in mind. So technically this is slightly above the curve.
That is true. Because the turn you play it, you'll get the effect.
You're unaffected by armaments, since your character gains the bonus.
Yep.
And clearly you can do a new designs type ability into it can't be attack drone, but it would have to be extra padding or something and go off.
Yes, you could.
So I mean, like, but I don't think it's that bad. Because there are no orange primary lasers, and it gets around armaments. So for those two reasons, I don't think it's that bad.
Yeah.
In an aggro deck, I just don't know if they need it, like, because I don't think they care about the downside of erratic lightning, and most of them are playing javelins anyway, so I don't think they care all that much. But if there was a market for this, then like in a deck that like also runs Matrix, then you're okay with the weapon staying out there and not having to constantly be playing another one.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it gets around armaments. So I don't.
Yeah.
I think it may see play for those reasons because I don't think it's that bad. And so we'll see.
Yeah, I can get behind that argument. I think it's just a matter of right now, its competitors kind of overshadow it, unless, like you said, it's the 10th weapon sort of thing. I'm trying to think how, like whatever. If you really don't want whatever erratic lightning or static laser or whatever because of the downside for some reason, you could always reach for this.
Yeah, the problem is the orange weapon downsides are really irrelevant in orange decks. That's
exactly
a big part of the problem. So
yep. Well, I don't really have much else to add, so we'll move on from junk cannons to Nautica. Autobot Nautica. She is a new boat, and she's a specialist. She's an 8-star character, 4-10-1 in alt mode, and when this defends against a car, a truck, or a tank, and you flip at least a blue, this gets +1 defense until the end of battle for each blue you flipped. And then in in body mode, she's still a specialist, 5-10-1, and when this defends, you may play an armor onto her. So, Scott, you want to get the puns out of the way?
She really bolsters your defense.
I mean, yes, you are correct. To be honest, I like that half of her character more than the defense mode. I feel like it's just going to be very difficult to actually defend in that mode against the appropriate character type.
I don't think you would even want to if you had the option to. Given the fact that you just get to play an armor for free on her as an extra card play, like, why would you ever want to defend in that mode? Like, even if you
once you already get the armor, I guess. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, because I don't think she's good in a blue deck. I think she's good in an orange deck. So, like, I don't know. Like, the only blues I think you'd be flipping are like your matrices and rollouts and these things we keep mentioning, like multiple pip cards.
Right.
Because she's melee, like, the master of whatever it's called, metallic.
From last show, Master of Metallicato.
Yeah. Like, that works on her because she's melee. Like, you'd get double the effect there.
Well, she's specialist, so she gets the orange pip. But she gets the orange one.
But she flips the blue. So, like,
right. It's effectively still a blue.
How does is it read, like, you get an extra blue for each
If
blue?
you flip at least blue, this gets +1 for each blue you flip. So she would effectively only get 1 defense out of that with that one because it's melee is the blue pip.
But out of an otherwise orange card, which is really powerful.
Yeah.
So, like,
it turns it into a rollout.
Yeah. So I think as long as you're playing those cards, it's fine. I just don't think that the problem is they obviously have full control over when you're defending against those modes.
Right. Unless cars or the tank deck, I mean, let's face it, trucks. I take it back, there's Brawn, but then he gets Pierce in that mode, so who cares?
Right. Like, I mean, any patrol member that's already that type can just get out of that mode. Like, what do they care? Like, are they really losing much by losing a flip? Like, is that going to really hurt them that much? Like, where she's...
They certainly have flips to spare.
Right. So, I guess that mode's fine on turn 0 or whatever, like when she defends the first turn, if that happens.
But of course, if that is their choice, they're probably just going to go, I'll punch that other guy over there instead.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's clearly the bolster mode that's really good for her, which... in
an aggro deck, playing bashing shields on their turn seems kind of funny.
Yeah. I mean, you obviously still have the force field thing. You obviously still have... like specialist armor, which is very powerful right now. Like, I I don't envision like playing like a sparring gear on her because I just don't think that's the type of. I don't think a tough deck is where you want to be with her. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you can ignore a bolster effect, and I think like you can make it. She's a decent aggro character. Like, what's her stats in body mode?
5, 10, 1. She's 8 stars. So with the so if she was 5, bold 1 for 9 stars. With this effect, I mean that's with the 1-star head. That's not it's respectable, I guess.
Yeah, I built in like defensive abilities that don't really cost you anything because like force field's just a white. Like I think are totally fine. Like so I think she's good.
Yeah, she seems reasonable. But probably for the like I think a lot of people got super excited about the alt mode half at first.
Yeah, I don't get that part at all.
Well, because it's like, oh, well, I'll have a billion defense. But like you said, you have to make your opponent. It's not even you jumping through hoops to make it happen. It's making your opponent jump through hoops to activate it, which, let's face it, that's probably not going to happen.
There's no like secret action cornered, is there?
No.
I don't think so.
It's only swerve, which is, you're doing it. So
you can't force them to flip as it stands right now. So
right. Any other thoughts for Nautica?
No, I think her body mode is fine. I think she's good in aggro.
Makes sense. So the next card up is whoa, why did that reset? That's not good. The next card up is one of the new cards, which means I have to actually add it to the overlay. That would help. Because otherwise nobody who's watching this is going to have a clue what the hell we're talking about. So apologize. Give me 1 second because this one snuck in quite literally while we were trying to do the other show. So, Nautica, then Reflect Damage. So Reflect Damage is a green pip. It's another secret action. You reveal if exactly one of your characters would take non-attack damage from an opponent's card. Instead, do that much non-attack damage to an enemy. I guess everybody really hates Overwhelming Advantage.
I mean, that's what was mentioned in the article. I mean, I hate this card because I play a lot of direct damage, but I think its universal use is going to be hurt by the fact that it's only a single green. And I think, how do I say this? I don't think enough of the broad meta adapts enough direct damage where it's worth it to play this main deck.
I mean, main deck, certainly. I mean, do you picture this as even worth a sideboard slot?
Yes, but I don't think it's like I don't think it's as powerful as people think, but I do think there's a lot of direct damage based cards in this set. Not literal like it does damage, but there's a lot of like, what's his name? Bludgeon.
Yeah.
And
I mean, he doesn't do the damage himself, but he does require it for most intents and purposes. I mean, excuse me.
Javelin's obviously overwhelming advantage, but I think you should have other ways of dealing with that already.
I mean, I guess it makes sense, and this may be, the more I think about it, may be powerful enough where if the bludgeon decks, for example, they're swarming, they're everywhere. Obviously, there's a bunch of damage, so you could randomly play this and screw up your opponent's next turn. Or there's clearly going to be a turn where, I'm going to get the post-wheel turn. They've damaged a character enough that it's 2 damage on them, kind of thing. I'll play this while they're in bot mode. They can't marksmanship him, or something like that, where it's, okay, they clearly would play the burn card if they had it right now. And you can kind of, remove momentum that way, but like the scenarios for this are seemingly obvious. I just don't know if it's a crutch, I guess is the best way to put it, that you can just play differently and you'll be fine without having to literally play this card?
I just don't know that you could take up your action phase playing this when A, your opponent probably knows you have it because it's a green,
Mm-hmm.
and then B, like, I mean, do they not have options? Like, do they not have other things to play? I mean, a lot of the meta right now is more based on pumps than it is on direct damage anyway. I mean, obviously that can change and ebb and flow, and I think this card's value will ebb and flow with that. But I just worry that like taking up your action phase to do this when you are then not like playing hidden fortifications or not playing other secret actions that are probably more universally like usable, for lack of a better term, like I think is dangerous.
Yeah, it's something that you're always going to have. I guess so here's one major tally mark in the column for this card is the fact that it exists, which sounds real dumb, but
no, I know what you mean.
You have to respect every secret action now. We're now hitting the point where like, okay, I have to think of all the reasonably playable ones. So it could be a hidden fortifications. It could be a sabotage, so I may not want to play this weapon. It could be reflect damage, so I can't play this burn card instead. Or it could be this other thing, and the list will continue growing where you may really just mess with your opponent's head with the secret actions now.
Yeah, I just fear that your opponent's going to know that it's there most of the time. So, like, they're just going to act accordingly. And I don't think you're going to really screw them over in too many situations.
No,
Good. Yeah. No, good.
Well, I was going to say it's more they have to now hedge their bets, which may not gain you that many percentage points or force them to lose that many, but it is, there is a delta there. There's some notable change in a matchup simply because they have to play around these things or play into it and just go, well, if they have it and I'm playing One Shall Stand, I lose because I'm pretty sure you'll just lose.
Does it say only on their turn, or when does it?
No, it's if exactly one of your characters would take non-attack damage from an opponent's card. So this will
counter the Sky Shadow ability even when it's on your turn.
Yes, because it doesn't specify when. Okay. I thought you were asking, will One Shall Stand avoid it because it's not targeting exactly just your character? Which, I mean, I'm pretty sure this will still catch One Shall Stand, but...
It's whenever one of your characters, so yeah. But it won't catch Hovercraft, is the point.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this card's fine, probably like 1 to 2 in the sideboard max, but like I don't think we're at a point yet where this is like main deckable just because of how much spread damage is out there, and but I do see the value of One Shall Stand going way up. There's a lot of cards that combo with it right now, so like
yep. Yeah, that's a blowout.
yeah, of course.
You're gonna have a bad day.
Yes, yes.
So I think that'll do it for reflect damage. Skull Smasher's having a bad day on that card. So We're going to move on to Scouting Mission, which actually has been gaining value since it first was revealed. And I liked it a lot when I first saw it. Scouting Mission is a blue and a black pip. It is deal 1 damage to any character. Its owner draws 2 cards. So you can target your own stuff if you have a good reason to. But between Bludgeon and other things that have come up, I just like the versatility of this card.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The 1 damage, even if it's quote unquote just a pep talk, there are plenty of games we've all played where it's like, okay, well, my guy is dead next turn, even though he has 6 health left because reasons. It doesn't matter the 1 damage. So, okay, I'll draw 2. Or you need to finish off their character. It just gives you a lot of options. And in conjunction with now you have effects like Bludgeon or other things that care about the 1 damage, like it seems pretty good.
And now you have effects that care about the double pips also, which is what I like.
Exactly. That's even more crucial, I think, for those builds that are looking for it.
So like you basically have a pep talk, which I can't stand as a card, but like
yes.
It has more. But it's a dual pip pep talk, which makes it better. On pip dual pip pep talk, which makes it better. and a like a blue zap that's better than underhanded tactics, whatever that was called.
The Decepticon
Because
thing you're talking about?
yeah,
Yeah.
because it's modal and gives you the option, and then like we said like the bronze and the master of whatever it's called want this card and things like that, and like any other cards that key off of having multiple pips and things like that care about this card. So I think it's overwhelming advantage cares about this card, for example. So
Yeah.
The universality and modular nature of this is just really powerful. And I feel like this is going to be like a pretty staple card compared to like playing some of those other cards. If they were already in your deck, I would just replace them with this.
Yeah. The one damage may seem scary if you have to target your own guys, but if you could probably find a way to make it work.
I mean, you just make it a benefit. Like, Cup makes it a benefit on any wrecker. Attaching Energon Axes, Bludgeon. Like, there's numerous examples where this is an advantage. So, the plane guy that we're going to talk about, there's an advantage.
That's what I knew. We haven't gotten there yet. That's why I almost forgot about it.
Yep.
But we'll circle back to it. Yeah, Scouting Mission definitely shows promise, and I do. This is another one of those. I guess you could clarify it as skill testing, but like you have so many options that it's going to show up probably more than people might expect at first glance.
Agreed.
So, moving on from Scouting Mission, we're going to go to another new card, and new as in a few hours ago. Obviously, all these are new. Speed Trap. It's a white and a green pip. It's a secret action. You reveal it when your opponent plays an action, and it's the second action they played this turn. When revealed, scrap that action. It has no effect. Your opponent can't play actions this turn. I wonder what this card is supposed to be for.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, it's this one, like... I don't think
a word on the card.
Yeah, no. It's Bumblebee and Mirage. It looks like about to have a real bad time. I don't think this could be any more direct if it literally said "Stop daring escape."
I mean, it stops any combo, which is good. I mean, if other ones exist, I mean, it was mentioned it was specifically mentioned in the article that this was the purpose of this card. I mean, this is one way of handling this. I mean, you play the combo deck, so like, would you rather be facing this or Hijack? Which one's worse?
I mean, so the way I look at this is now all the combo decks move back into you must main deck Peace Through Tyrannies to dodge this and Hijack.
Okay.
So like you Peace Through Tyranny and then go off on your spare turn. I don't feel that this was necessary. Like, since Hijack already exists, I don't know that anybody's going to board 6 things. You know what I mean? Obviously, a future combo that plays a lot of actions, but somehow doesn't draw a lot of cards, I guess could exist. That feels like a weird sentence to even put out there, but I guess hypothetically, if it was... okay, so the scenario would be, instead of cards that literally said draw card, they were all Ancestral Wisdom effects, where it's put, or Treasure Hunt effects, where it's you're getting a bunch of cards, but not with the word literally draw on those cards. So you're still filling up your hand to get more gas and continue, and you would just chain actions that way. Obviously, there's the potential that maybe there's an upgrade-based combo in the future that this... only Hijack would address and this wouldn't, but I don't know. Since I've only had about an hour and a half to think about it, I can't think of any way that you'd be able to go off through this, but that's the same sentence about Hijack. So again, it's just now a quantity thing. Are people really going to turbo board and then 6 secret actions? Are you like giving up your sideboard against the rest of the field?
No, I don't think you need a sideboard turbo anymore. I think the fact that this is white green instead of black green is big.
Possibly. I mean,
the deck can continue to do its thing while it's still getting quote on color pips while it's doing its thing. So I think that's powerful.
I guess.
I
mean,
if you're saying it's the same negative for the combo deck, then I'd rather obviously just play the one that's white green versus black green. So
I think as of right now, and again, this is without like putting a humongous amount of thought on it. They almost the literal definition of hot takes. It feels like you're not going to be able to go off through it, similar to hijack. So you're going to have to PTT or just wait a turn, and therefore you're in the same boat. So I agree. People would probably play this over hijack because it's a white pip versus a black pip, unless you had a reason to want the black pip. And I guess you could board 4 to 6 of these. The buy a turn effects.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. I don't think it really needed to exist because if the combo is slow enough that hijack can address it, you'll find a hijack and not have to worry about this most of the time, unless you really want to go overboard. And if it's fast enough that it can avoid those things, we're probably in problem territory anyway.
Yeah, that's fair.
But we'll move on from Speed Trap. Like I said, this one just seems pretty self-explanatory. So we're going to jump into Autobot Stylor. So he is a 2-star Headmaster, Titan Master. He provides 1 defense in head mode. He's ranged and Titan Master in bot mode, and he's a 2/1/1. Kind of straightforward, but do you care about having 1 extra defense for 2 stars right now?
No, not right now. I mean, like, assuming that there's not... I mean, I guess there's going to be a tough one for 1 star, which I imagine that's going to exist, so I'd probably just rather play that if exists.
If it's 1 star, then yes. I feel like the 2 stars in general are going to be in a weird spot. So we have this one and we have the +1 attack one. Were there any other 2 stars?
No, not yet.
Given that we've seen the tough 3/1, the +5 health, the bold one at 1 star, it just feels like this is going to be a weird position if you're a 2-star Headmaster, Titan Master. You're just not quite doing enough to justify the 2 stars, it feels like.
No Titan Masters have 3 defense to start with, so no one goes from 3 to 4, right?
3 and health, you mean?
3 defense.
Like actual defense? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So, like, you're going from 2 to 3, which is fine. I just think that, like, you're giving up... I'll have to run the numbers. After I finish some other things on that spreadsheet's on my list of things to do and to see, like, how all the Titan Masters interact with all the heads, but, like, I just don't think this is probably worth it in the end. I'd honestly rather just play, like, a star... If I had the extra star, I'd rather just play a star card in my deck, to be honest with you, than just get 1 defense versus... Assuming the tough one is... which I don't know whether it is or isn't. I'm just assuming it is, given the templating. At that point, I'd rather just play that one because just getting the ability to get more greens is just better than just getting like 1 defense. I mean, static stats are better at times, especially given like a lot of what's going on with a lot of these different cards, like belligerence and things like that. But I'm okay with that. Like, I'm not going to spend the extra star because the bot mode here is absolutely 0 to write home about. So I don't see the advantage there.
I mean, we talked about this briefly for I forget which character, probably Arcana. Maybe it's actually an aggro head because then the +1 defense is a break point on a given character to buy another attack, somehow make it from 2 hits to 3 hits. I don't see how that's possible, but I'm just kind of grasping at straws.
I know what you're saying. I just don't. I don't think that's going to happen though. So.
I agree. Yeah. So unfortunately, I think Stylor is going to ride the pine.
He's common, I assume, right?
He is uncommon.
Yeah.
Awkward. I don't know what his body is offhand, rarity-wise.
Who is it?
It's Chrome Dome.
Oh, I think you said it was uncommon before.
I think.
Yeah.
Well, somebody will correct us.
It's uncommon. You said it last time.
Yeah. So moving from there, we're going to move into a different set of cards, and that is Trax. So Trax is another character that has a stratagem, but we'll start with the character and then move into, I guess, the alternate character. So Trax, Autobot Warrior, is a car and melee in alt mode. He's a 4/13/2. When you flip to this mode, one of your characters gets +1 attack until end of turn. If it shares a trait with this, it gets +2 attack until end of turn. And he's 9 stars. Now, in bot mode, he's melee. He's 5/13/1. And when this attacks, do 1 damage to an enemy that isn't a car or plane. Let's talk about him as a character first, Scott, before we get into the stratagem. For 9 stars, is the ping effect enough for you?
The combination with flip effects and flipping him back to that mode is what's enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
So because he shares a trait with himself, obviously, like any start your engines or like escape route or rollout will basically give, assuming he's his own target and you still have your flip for the turn, which would be dumb if you didn't. I'm
going to assume you're going to set that up. Yeah, I think that's safe.
So he just gives himself +2 attack and then gets to ping also. So, and if it's start your engines, obviously he would have already attacked once doing that effect. So yeah, I think it's definitely good enough because of, the 1 damage can just go straight on the target like it's a javelin, half a javelin, or can be spread around. So obviously that's going to be powerful.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's going to be hard to, for all the reasons that we were saying, Nautica could struggle in her alt mode defending against the right things. It's the opposite is true here. That, I mean, yes, airstrike patrol is a thing. So you ping their Optimus, or if they're cars and they go into bot mode, you ping that guy. Like you shouldn't want for targets.
Right, I agree, and it just comes down to like whether or not you can you're basically turning all your flip effects into +2 actions. Yeah. So I think that's fine, and especially if you can play them in a deck where multiples of them come into play, I think it's fine. And then you can also, if you don't want to do that, if you just flip him on 1 and, just flip back to pump one of your other guys, that's also fine because they can then play a combat action and likely, get themselves up and his flip is very, very universal.
Yeah.
So as long as he's boosting another car or boosting another melee, you're totally fine. So yeah. I think he's very powerful in a 3-wide deck. And I mean, you could run him in 4-wide if you want. I just don't think you quote need to. I think he's just a powerful helper to another 3-wide deck that gives you a lot of flip options. And I think he has powerful flip effects, and I think his abilities are both relevant, and he has decent stats for his size. So to me, he's pretty solid all around. I just don't like the fact that he's melee, but otherwise he's fine.
Yeah, he seems pretty solid. He, if you compare him to someone who's more straightforward, say Wave 1 Wheeljack at 9 stars, 5/13/1, I think he may have the identical stat line.
Mm-hmm.
So you get slightly different traits. You don't get necessarily the brute force in bot mode, but you get a little more versatility. You get a few more options. I think there's probably something there with him. We'll have to see where he ends up showing up because he does require a little bit of dancing. Obviously, the partners are much more restrictive for who you're going to be able to successfully use. Because as you were talking, I was trying to think what battle masters, for example, to free up that flip are available. And the only one I could think of that's melee is Lionizer.
Oh, so that you get the...
So that you could target it, yeah, which I guess you wouldn't really want to put it there. You'd probably want to put it on whoever your third character is.
Right.
But the Battle Master at least frees up the flip, is the point, so...
Yeah, that's fair.
So let's talk about his stratagem, Aerial Enhancements. For Trax Autobot Warrior, it's while your Trax Autobot Warrior is in alt mode, he has the plane trait, which is very thematic for Generation 1 Trax. Or I guess any Trax. I don't know if he's ever been anything else in any other media. But anyway, he allows you to, well, you can target your planes now for the matching trait effect. But is that worth making them 10 stars, Scott? Do you think do you really want to make that investment?
No.
No. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I guess at 10, you could still do 5/5/5 planes. So,
okay.
I don't know. Maybe that's something. I'm trying to reach for something here.
It's like the bold card, the bold plane card is good on him then, and then like the, obviously like your, like bombing runs or slipstream, but I don't care.
Yeah, I don't. As of right now, I think that the bold plane card is probably the most compelling thing, other than opening up other potential partners, I guess. So if there's
Does he become the best 10 drop plane at that point? Maybe you could make that argument. I don't know.
Is there another 10 drop? I mean, there's Skywarp. I can't think of any other. So he doesn't have a whole lot of competition at 10 drop planes, right. I guess.
Exactly.
The Wave 1 Starscream. All right, I think we're going to move on now. Yeah, I do like tracks overall. I'm not super enthused, but it does, like we talked about on the last portion of the episode, this stratagem definitely feels like it's more in line with their design ethos for it of open up other play avenues rather than be a straight upgrade. I mean, it sounds like it's a straight upgrade because he gets the trait, but this is enough of a trade-off that you have to really want that other thing.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So we'll move back to, we're moving on from tracks and aerial enhancements. We're going to go to Temporal Quagmire. So this is yet another secret action. When one of your characters defends, or reveal when one of your characters defends, and when revealed, each player can't flip more than 2 battle cards during this battle. So you got a secret action gyro.
Don't like this at all.
It's also no pips, which I didn't say.
Which is what I don't like about it.
Yes. I mean, yes, gyro also is no pips, and I guess technically this can't be removed, but...
And it doesn't, and you can obviously, if you have more than one character tapped, you're going to get the effect. They don't have to force themselves into the gyro character. You know what I mean? Like they can.
Yeah, once it's revealed, they can just go after. Which I guess is the same argument with gyro. Like if it was out there and they can't remove it, they can just go after somebody else. But
right, they can't do that here. So because it's whenever one of your guys at all defends.
Oh, you're saying the opposite. So like if you have it out and have not revealed it. Like, there's always the potential that they can't dodge the gyro.
They can dodge the gyro. They can't dodge this.
Correct. The gyro effect, I guess. Is,
right.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about this one. I mean, gyro has seemingly been seemingly underutilized overall. So I don't imagine that people are going to be clamoring for this one.
I mean, don't we have a million dampening field overheat effects? Like, that's all this really does. It hurts you just as much as it hurts them. So, like, I don't understand, like, you're just removing their bold again. Like, you're not doing anything else because you can't remove tough. That's what gyro, like, gyro does double duty, like, hurts their defense and helps your defense. Like, I don't get this at all.
So the difference between this and I think the dampening field effects, putting gyro aside, it is that because it strictly limits things to 2, the Fort Maxes of the world can't hit their white pip into something else because they need less. So as compared to Metroplex, where like any of these effects is kind of crippling because you'd have to flip perfectly to hit what you need. 2 battle cards, like if one of them is a white pip and you get to 4, you would have to tell me because you would know the numbers better than I would, that I feel as though Fort Max or other things that only care about, say, hitting 2 specific kinds of pips still have a decent shot. Whereas this, it further raises the bar that even then they're not going to be able to hit it.
Yeah, so like this could have been a green easily, in my opinion. I just don't think it's
Yes.
powerful enough to be a blank. So is
Uh,
Optimus Primal in this card?
no, it's Optimus Prime and Megatron, but it
It's not
looks,
Primal, right? Okay.
yeah, it looks like Energon or one of those because Prime definitely looks different in this.
Yeah, I thought he was Optimus Primal. So
Yeah, the artwork is seems strange to be honest
okay.
compared to the rest, but anyway. So I don't think there's much else to be said for Temporal Quagmire.
Agreed.
We'll move on from there to Autobot Teslor, who is a 2-star headmaster, Titan Master. I keep saying that. He grants Focus 1. In bot mode, he's 2/1/1 Specialist Titan Master with Focus 1. Yeah, it feels like another one that falls into the awkward 2-star abyss.
I mean, in the right deck, honestly, I'd rather have Focus 1 than either one of the +1 defense or +1 attack.
Mm-hmm.
So I can in the right build, so I can say that at least. But I don't think those builds are that great. So I mean, they'll see more play now because of the seemingly desire to have more pips colors, and like, you know, if you're playing some of those cards that depend on that,
Mm-hmm.
assuming we get more of them, I think it's fine. I don't think this is worth a 2-star investment. I think Focus 1 could have been a 1-star head and would have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
With one health in the bot mode. Again, you're not long for this world, so you might not even get your attack off. So I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yes,
We'll put
because
it
the point
way.
of focus is to help you on attack and defense, and your 1 health character, yeah, that's not getting much use out of defense. So
Yeah, that's probably not going to happen again. I mean, excuse me, in an aggro deck, if you got down to that, you're doing what? Digging for double pips, I guess?
yeah, it's not worth it. Like, just play the bold 1 hit. Like, it's not worth it.
Absolutely. So from Teslor, we're going to switch gears here again to Windsweeper. So Windsweeper's yet another character that
I've never heard of.
So I said this offline. I'm pretty sure I had this guy as a toy. If it's the guy I'm thinking of, and I couldn't find him before the show, it was one of those where it was like spring loaded. You press a button, and then on him, the guns underneath the wings would flip out.
Okay.
Which I don't know if that is actually the guy, but we're gonna go with it. So, and I realize we have a card out of sequence that we'll just do at the end. So Windsweeper is a 10-star plane, ranged 5/15/1. When this attacks, if you have at least 2 planes on your starting team, move 2 damage counters from this to the defender. Otherwise, move 1 damage counter from this to the defender. Then over in bot mode, he's still a plane, notably. He's ranged, and he's 4/15/2. When one of your other characters attacks, you may move 1 damage counter from it to this being Windsweeper. Now, I said this offline, Scott. This is a card that I was very excited about when it first got revealed, and then I immediately had the regret of thinking, okay, that means this card is probably going to be terrible, because that's kind of how it usually goes. So, do you feel this card is actually going to be good, or do you think this is going to be terrible?
No, this card's insane.
Statistically, like from a stats to star ratio and all the other associated things, like this seems kind of wild.
Yeah, I mean, 5/15/1 for 10 is a lot. That's a lot of health and a lot of attack for
And it's
10 stars.
It's kind of sort of 17, I guess.
What? 17
Health because of the damage move.
Oh yeah. I mean, this fits perfectly with Sky Shadow. The one thing to keep in mind is, like, you don't have to have the 2 planes in play. They just had to be on your starting lineup.
Yep. And he counts as one of them.
And you double bombing run when he attacks? Okay. I mean, that's a 4-point swing when he attacks. Like,
so here's the 2 wet blanket arguments for this guy, because there always has to be something. One is, if you go first, I mean, clearly you're going to run ways to self-damage him. You're going to have some effect. But you don't get any of the benefit of moving damage off your other guys. So there's that. I don't know if that's actually going to make all that much of a difference. Does that put you off of this guy in any capacity?
The only negative about him is that I don't think the bot mode means anything.
Well, in that scenario, yes. It's going to mean, because your guys are going to attack, then they're going to get damage, unless you're ready for actioning, I guess.
Like, if you're going first, you're saying.
Yeah, like, because you're going to have to swing in with whoever, presumably it's not this guy, then those guys are undamaged, so they're not doing anything.
Except for when those two guys are Sky Shadow, and you eventually get to move damage, when you combine.
Mm-hmm. That seems okay.
So, there's that. But the other thing is, I mean, the only negative about him is in a deck like that, you just have no active flips. Because I don't care about this alt mode at all. I mean, this bot mode at all. So
it's only when you go second, so that you can shift a little bit of damage ahead of time.
Sure, but it's really nothing.
Well, and that's the other point I was going to bring up, is that as a potential negative, is that while it is a 4-point damage swing, I don't know if that 2 damage, or how often that 2 damage is going to mean that he soaks another hit that he would not have ordinarily. Similar to the moving the damage from the other characters to him. Is that really going to buy them a turn? Of course, there are scenarios that will happen. I just don't know how much. I don't know how much that's going to matter.
I mean, I just look at it like he's 7 attack then at that point. So that's all I care about. So,
I mean,
I don't know.
7's one of those thresholds that I look for in characters, and I'm sure if he makes it to a second attack, he's going to have 2 more damage to fling around. So,
I mean, and he's ranged, so you get Javelin, you get Horrorcraft, all the typical stuff. So and the point is you're not gonna have to Javelin your target all that often. I don't know. I feel like the 2 is gonna healing him for 2 off a 1-shot stand is gonna be an insane turn, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And then the draw 2 cards card and move that, because I know the way you read it to me, because I don't have it right in front of me.
Yeah.
You can still move less than 2, right? If you have 2.
If you had at least 2 planes on your starting, move 2 damage counters from this to the defender. Otherwise, move 1. I would assume it's one of those do as much as you can. So yeah, if you only have 1 damage, you move 1 damage. Okay,
good. Then we're okay.
Yeah,
with the pep talk card.
With the scouting mission and the potentially with this guy's self ping.
Hey, sorry.
Nah, it's been a while since they joined us. Yeah, this guy all around just seems to kind of have it all together. It's the plane we've all been waiting for.
I just think his ability to combo with Sky Shadow, who I really, really love, is great. There's so much inborn synergy there because, Sky Shadow has to be taking a minimum of 10 damage combined, and now this guy allows you to then move 1 of that damage away. And you want those pieces to be as healthy as possible. Like you said, in those situations where you're going second, it's possible that you can move damage off of them to make him a healthier combiner. And then, like I said, you are definitely going to get 1 to him at some point. So I think that secondary ability that I don't really care about does have use. And then he's always quote on for your 1-shot stands and this card, and I guess you could play Photon Bomb. I don't know. This is very powerful to me. I wish you could obviously put the 2 damage anywhere you want instead of just to the defender, but I'm not fretting about it. So
yeah, I'm not. I mean, yes, I agree, but I'm not going to be crushed over it.
And he doesn't proc bludgeon though, right? Because it's moving the damage.
Yeah, it's
Instead of
moving.
dealing the damage. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a put versus take. Okay, so despite all the technical difficulties, we're still excited about Windsweeper because, and again, if this is repeated, I apologize, everybody, but Callous Leadership is a no-go for him and Sky Shadow. Energy Transfer is a go, but in general, there's just a whole lot of ways to take advantage of the self-damaging effects with this guy, obviously, and he's got to be the centerpiece for some deck at some point, right?
At 10 stars, he doesn't have to be the centerpiece. He just gets to be the, oh, gee, I get to one-shot stand my guys. Oh, gee, I get to draw extra cards. Like, that's the point, is like, we're at a point now where, you know, especially in my opinion with Sky Shadow, I just feel like you don't even need that. And I don't, you know, like, do I think this makes Slipstream more playable? No, because I think you're just not going to have that much damage on you at all times, or else it's not a good time. But, like, I just think his synergy with Sky Shadow is so obvious and so powerful that, like, that's where I'm leaning first. But, like, I mean, I you know, because you have to have a second plane no matter how you slice it. So, like, that regardless. Right. So,
yeah, it obviously lends itself to that. So let's take a look at Saturation Bombing, his stratagem. So it's once per game when you flip your Windsweeper air defense to alt mode, and he has a number of damage counters equal to or greater than the number of enemies on the battlefield. Move one damage counter from him to each enemy, and then flip this so that you only get the once per game. Given that this would preclude you from playing Sky Shadow, Scott, do you want to push this guy to 11 stars to get a strafing run?
That also heals you for the number of damage too. So it's like a bigger effect.
So an armed hovercraft plus heal 3 once per game, if you can set it up, which you should, I would think, be able to.
It's equal to or greater, or equal or greater?
Equal to or greater than the number of enemies.
Yeah, like, it's like you said, it's an armed hovercraft. It's like an armed hovercraft triple war of attrition thing. I don't know. It's
some hodgepodge of other cards.
I would not play this. No, it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's something to, like, healing 3 is a decent amount. I don't think it's going to be that difficult to get 3+ damage counters on him. I don't know, given that you're clearly going to be playing a ton of other burn cards, javelins, marksmanships, hovercrafts themselves, whatever, that you're going to need it to ensure that you're beating wider aggro decks.
I mean, you're basically aren't you just one-shot sending yourself and then hovercrafting them all in the same turn and hovercrafting them all in the same turn? Like, can't you do all that in the same turn?
Yeah. Like, you don't have to jump through too many hoops. I just don't know. Like, you don't need it, and I can't, outside of the Sky Shadow pairing that's obvious, off the top of my head, I'm not sure who else you're pairing him with immediately, so I don't know what going from 10 to 11 rules out as a result.
Yeah, I think if it rules out nothing, then you would play this, because, again, like, you would literally just one-shot stand yourself, and then you get to hovercraft them, and then you get to heal 3. Like, there's no downside to doing it.
Yeah.
It just turns one-shot stand into a bolt of lightning. Like, I mean, you actually don't get his ability, but you just wouldn't attack with him in the same turn. But so I guess if you had to start a spare and you wanted to run it in a certain team, this is like I guess this is one of the strategies. It's like a straight upgrade if you can afford it. It just, I don't know that you need to or want to, but if you can, I see no reason not to play it.
Yeah, it's just going to come down to, like you said, I don't know what those other stars could be or should be at this stage. It's worth considering, at least. Chat saying that it's also dead against tall decks, which is true, because you're just moving 1 damage.
So? Which tall deck? 1 tall decks?
Well, I mean, yeah, if we're saying, because we were harping on Fort Max, I mean, moving 2 is okay. again, it's going to come down to who the partners are forced into at that stage.
I mean, at that point, he just has damage authority to use his own ability. He's still going to be left with 0 at the end of all this interaction, no matter how you slice it. So it's going to be a full heal no matter how you slice it. So I think it's fine.
Well, not necessarily, because, like, against, if he has 10 damage on him, because you just got tagged by 4 max, like, healing 1 is whatever. Like, it's a fling. You spent 1 star for a fling. Like,
I mean, yes, he's bad against he's bad against Titans. I'll give you that. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's not like, it's one of those, I'm not even sure that it's bad. It's just obviously suboptimal, but that may be good enough anyway. You know, depending on how it shapes up. Yeah, it seems like a worthwhile strategy. Yeah,
if you can afford it, it's fine.
So I think that'll cover it for Windsweeper. So we're gonna switch back.
He's super rare.
Yes, but so was Trax. I couldn't think of who we were talking about for a second. I'm looking at him on my desk. So one of the other newer cards that was revealed is Staggering Might, which is a white pip utility, +1 attack, and while the upgraded character has 16 stars or more, it has Bold 1 and Tough 1. So the range of characters that this applies to is actually wider than a lot of people might think, right, Scott?
Yeah, because there's something very important this card does not say. And it does not say you can only attach to a character that has X 16 or more stars.
Yep, it's while the upgraded character. So I'm assuming you're alluding to combiners there, Scott.
Yes.
Because, they can wield this thing pretty effectively.
So you just stick it on one of the parts. It gets the +1 attack and no other bonus as a white utility, which is obviously suboptimal, but not, like, the worst thing in the world. And then basically when you combine, you get the bonus.
Yep.
And stratagems add to the character's cost, right? Well, it doesn't matter because Sky should allow the head anyway, but I guess that's but I think stratagems do add to their cost anyway, but so that's part of the point. And, like, obviously all the Titan decks want this card.
I don't know.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, the Titan one's for sure.
Yeah, so, like, both of them want to flip certain colors, so clearly this is powerful for them. And then I can't imagine a combiner deck not running this card.
Right.
Ever. So this card's very good because the decks that want it has universal use for those specific decks. So might not be a 3 of, given just the number of whites that you can run in the deck. But
well, that, and there are other utilities that you're probably running in there, like Energy Pack or something in those builds.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could argue that this is probably, I don't think it's on that level, but it's powerful because you get bold and tough and +1 attack. So it's like, it's basically like, it's a lot. I mean, it's facilitating draws and things like that you're doing. So
yeah,
it's very powerful. Yeah,
it definitely affords a number of different options. You brought up all the Titans that can make use of it. Do you picture that Galaxy's 15 Jetfire, I guess, could run this?
Oh, the Jetfire loves this card.
Yeah. I was trying to think of what other things off the top of my head.
Yeah, you're duplicating his ability. I mean, this is definitely like a 2 of in Jetfire for sure. But I just believe, I think this is a huge help to combiners because it sticks around and you don't need to, like, you can put it on them anytime during the game and it's going to be there. I don't think this is a big enough threat where your opponent's like, I gotta take out that guy that has this. I mean, I guess if given the choice of no one else better to KO, you'll go for this one. But, like, it's innocuous to begin with, and then we'll have just a serious advantage as the game goes on. That's very subtle, in my opinion.
Right. Chat's asking they're wondering if it'll affect any headmasters. I was
actually thinking about that. They can't get big enough. The biggest one we have now starts at 11.
Yeah. So unless we have a 12,
the Prime. I assume the Prime and or Megatron, if they exist, we know. I mean, we're pretty confident Prime exists.
He's on the packaging art. Yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, yeah, that's gonna happen.
So I would imagine that you can get him to where this matters.
Yeah, I mean, it's all gonna have to be. He has to be 12 stars, because then you could stack a 4-star head on him, unless he happens, which he shouldn't, but if they decided to do the Fort Max thing where you can stack multiple heads. Like, there's no reason that he should have that, but that's the only other way, if he was smaller.
Yeah, I think this card's great because there's so many decks that would want it, and then it just sticks around. So I think this is very powerful.
Yeah. It's, again, we talked about this in the previous part of the episode with the with Brass Knuckles, where it's a potential +2 in the utility slot. And this is kind of the same thing, where it's, you have your base +1 with the bold 1 to try and go fetch more damage. You put it quite succinctly that every deck that can run this probably is going to.
Yes.
So, we'll move on from Staggering Might to our next to last card, and that is Wingspan. So, Wingspan is another member of the Beast Tribe. He's a specialist. He's 3/11/2 for 8 stars, and when you flip to alt mode, you draw a card, and it has +1 defense for each card under him. And then in bot mode, he is still a specialist, 4/11/1. When an upgrade is scrapped from this, put it under him. So your grenade launchers, your the stupid armor from Wave 1, the
crystal,
the tough armor from Wave 2. I want to say that's it.
Doesn't I mean, you can just basically replace the upgrades that are on them, right? And they'll just go away also, right?
Yeah, anything, or when your opponent kills them,
Right.
I
mean,
good.
The question is, will he survive the turn that the things get KO'd, because he's not going to be in the right mode.
Right.
So it's going to be do you have to swerve with this guy? I don't really want to, but it's basically can he survive a hit and then get? I don't think I don't think you can realistically get this guy large enough, because if they disarm you and you had 3 extra paddings on them or something or 3 attack drones on them, you don't get +3. They just go back to your hand.
Correct.
So I just don't think that you can. I don't think you can set this up fast enough to where it's going to be that significant of an ability, because you have to be in combat for a lot of these things to happen, or else you're basically just wasting a lot of your upgrade plays, replacing chaining upgrades on him.
And being a specialist, it's not, it's not as though you're playing armed hovercraft and then replacing with an armed hovercraft and then putting one of them under or something. There aren't really specialist upgrades that are gaining ground in that fashion. Chat said bold 3 thing from Wave 2, Power Punch. Also.
Yeah, that's right. Can you go off with Field Communicator into Field Communicator into something else and gain a bunch of?
We're gonna live the dream. Now, to be fair, it's another card that you have to at least consider the outside possibility that it's technically removing things from the game, so it does put cards in unique places, and therefore, is there something to be done with it? The Daring Escape example. Again, I don't. So for that sort of thing, you'd have to have a scenario where instead of generating a ton of action plays, your upgrades are somehow generating extra upgrades, and then you just keep replacing them. So you could multi-tool, multi-tool into something. Put the other thing under, or multi-tool under, and then somehow keep going. There's that potential, but I agree with you in general, for any fair application, this guy's probably just dying in 2 hits, regardless. I don't think you can do it quick enough to force 3 hits.
But do you think that you can mini combo off with these little things in order to get him to a defense that's large enough to where he again, granted, outside the use of that there's a lot more Pierce cards in this set, do you feel you can get him to a respectable defense level just by doing this stupid little combo stuff?
Well, let's say you got him to 5. Like, so you put 3 cards under him, and let's assume that there is something reasonable to do that. You know, whether it's the field communicators, the multi-tools, whatever. You got him to 5. It's in a blue deck. You're defending for 7. So you now have a 3-11-7 on the board.
Yes.
Do you see where I'm going with this? Like, do we care? Like, I mean, yes, this guy may, even then, hypothetically, like, oh my God, what just happened?
I just put the leashes down.
You just put what down?
I put the leashes away. That's all.
Oh, okay. So if it was a 3-11-7 counting flips, you know, just to make it simple, I don't know. Do we care? Like,
he wouldn't take a lot of damage. I mean,
they'd have to sink a lot of attacks, but like they could. So if you got him to that, presumably he took some damage from the first time he attacked. You now have a wall post wheel, but then okay, so their one attack bounces off him, and then they just target your other guy. I don't know. It feels like a lot of effort right now to do not a whole lot.
It's probable that will happen, but I mean, like, I think that, like, you know, you put that black weapon that's +3 and Pierce 3 on him, and, you know, like, I mean, there are definitely enough Pierce things you can put on him to, like, put inevitability in his corner, assuming they don't also have Pierce. So, I don't know. I think there's a potential to, like, go off as a mini combo to get this guy large enough to where, like, he just can't be damaged outside of Pierce, like, at all.
Yeah.
Outside direct damage and outside of Pierce. And like, if you wait until later, you know, till you amass a hand and you're, like, you know, going off, drawing cards when he flips and all this other stuff, and you can get him up to, like, a 5 base when he first attacks, like, I don't know. I think he could sit around for a while. I don't know if it's worth it, but
it's
interesting.
There are no characters that actually eat upgrades, right? That are like destroy an upgrade you control to do thing.
No.
I didn't think so. I couldn't think of any. Now there is a potential. A lot of people had said this lore wise because you have wingspan. The partner is always Pounce, so maybe Pounce does something to help this. Again, just like many of our other conversations, a lot of it is just hypothetical. We have no idea. So,
is he a Beastmaster character or no? I mean, a Beast Wars character?
No, he's G1, like actual G1.
Oh.
Just okay. I want to say he was, you know, one of the random goons for either when Overlord was in charge or Deathsaurus or, you know, one of those characters. I think.
Japanese G1.
I think I don't remember him being in Call of the Primals. Somebody will correct us afterwards. And now it's going to bother me because I'm trying to picture the scene where they like the big toy cartoon where they pan the whole crowd and you see every beast character. And I don't remember, but yeah, I don't know. As of right now, I don't think the payoff is there because you have to go to such great lengths. Like there's no easy way to make this happen.
No, I mean, but like it's another. Then you know it's another. It's you play a bunch of cards, don't win the game, but you certainly delay it a tremendous amount. I just don't know if it's worth it. But
yeah, he's right on the cusp. If there's a couple things but they would have to be very specific things to help him. So I don't know if it's one of those like the card would be so narrow that we wouldn't even get it.
Like device fires.
I forgot about that card. I don't know if I'm going to play it to help this guy, but I forgot about that card.
Yeah, I think chaining the upgrades is where you want to be, but I just don't. You're right. Like, I mean, I don't think it's worth the payoff, but we'll see.
It's him and Wave 2 Megatron that draws cards and plays free actions, and into will make the game take 1,000 turns.
Right.
Yeah, so there's that, and then there's the card that I forgot, so I'm going to add it to the overlay real quick and stall for time as I'm talking about it, because I don't know how I actually managed to forget this card, simply because I went on the download spree to get everything ready. And the one we didn't talk about is Parsec. Let's make this so people can actually...
The actual one-cost head we mentioned a million times.
Yeah, the one that we alluded to all those times. So Parsec is, as Scott was saying, the one-cost head that gives Bold 1. Parsec is probably going to get played. That's where I'm going to put it.
What's his stats in the bot mode?
2-1-0, and he's ranged.
With Bolt.
Correct.
1. Yeah, this guy's good.
Yeah, he's really solid. And we said it a number of times on other shows, I truly expected the one-cost heads to literally do nothing. They were just a body. Right.
Yeah.
So the fact that they provide anything at all maybe is coloring my opinion of it, but I'm very happy with Parsec.
Yeah, I mean, he's outside of being hold the line. He should deal decent damage out of an orange deck.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, hold the line is going to be hilarious against this guy.
So that aside, I mean, like, you should be attacking for like 5 damage out of a literal 1 drop. And you know, the key with these characters is basically just that they allow you to play Titan Masters, and that's like a huge benefit.
Yeah.
And his ability actually helps a lot of the characters that want it. Like, I have to. I'm trying to think. Like,
I don't know which body you're talking about.
I mean, it helps. His actual body. I forget her name again.
Nautica.
The one we talked about. Yeah, it helps her just because I think it's an aggro deck. I think it helps. I guess it kind of helps Cup in a way, but like if it's gonna be an aggro Cup deck, I think it helps. It doesn't really help Twin Twist because I don't know what he wants.
I don't know what the Twin Twist wants, to be honest. The Decepticon bodies, I'm not sure.
It's a fine Fortress Maximus head to get the 3 extra star cards.
Yeah, exactly. The only unfortunate part there is, of course, you don't get his Bold 1 on the primary body, we'll call it.
Yeah, I think if you don't, well, assuming there's a tough one, a lot of them are going to want that instead, like Perceptor and you know, things like, and probably Cup. But
maybe Skullcruncher, I guess.
I think.
I was trying to go through the Decepticon bodies. He's the alligator one. Skull Smasher.
The crocodile one?
Yeah, and then, Wolfwire, I guess, doesn't care. I mean, the Bold would help more for the draw greens, just to find more greens.
Like, this would help Brainstorm, like, if he's at all playable, like, to get the upgrade when you attack into your hand. Like, any Bold's going to help that situation. So, as it stands right now, like, I think this is a much better default head than any of the 2-drop ones. I
would agree. It's even in the blue decks, hypothetically, it's, I mean, again, pending the inevitable tough one, because, you know, they love the mirror. It fetches greens, or in these blue-black decks, it goes and finds more black pips. It enables a lot of things.
Yeah, I think this seems pretty, like, universal to me. Is it common, I assume?
It is uncommon.
I guess I don't know. I don't remember if I've seen a lot of common heads. I'd have to check.
Yeah, but the ones this time around have been uncommon. I'm trying to skim them real quick. That one's rare. Interesting. Yeah, that's actually a good point. I'm curious which ones will end up being that way.
Maybe none. Maybe the stratagems just take up the common slot. I don't know.
Chat's saying that it's the first headmaster that doesn't share a rarity with its body, which is interesting.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah, because Nautica is rare.
Gonna happen with
What was that?
Probably gonna happen with It's probably gonna have it with Prime too, I would imagine, if he's super rare.
Assuming
But
he's super
definitely
rare, yeah.
the first one we've seen. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say about this particular character because Parsec seems like he's going to show up in a lot of places. Like, this is everything you need to push the bodies which were, either middling or right on the line or just below the line of acceptable to above acceptable, as well as getting all the advantages of being a 2-in-1 character.
Yeah, and perfectly aggro based 2-in-1 character, which is what I like.
Yep.
So, yep.
Makes sense. So that does it for this set of reveals. I hope there may have been more revealed while we were recording. I don't know.
Probably, knowing us.
Yeah, I mean, that, and we've been doing this for so long today that maybe we stretched into another reveal. I hope I didn't miss any because there were a lot. So we'll close up shop there. As always, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And please tune in next time for more Tech Talk.